Hello everyone, Aubrey here, and today I will be overviewing my new circuit band synthesizer. This is an unscripted video. I just want to show what I made here. And today there is no line sound because I just moved apartments. There is no subsystem set for literally anything. So you get what you get. This is a Casio keyboard, an old Casio SA series keyboard, I think, or whatever. Basically an old crap Casio. And the only thing that's left from that old Casio is the board. Everything else has been turned into this weird-ass modular synthesizer, which kind of ignores what you want for the most part, because there is an evil entity inside of it, an evil glitchy entity that ignores your orders and does what you want. It has a few modules here. These actually all address more or less the same board, except for this and this probably. They have numbers, and here is the first one, 01 power. So this is of course the most important one. It has the power switch that turns the system on. It has a panic button, so in case everything goes wrong, you can press the panic button and it cuts the power to the system. Then you can reset it. So panic button turns off the system. When you let it go, turns it on. Then there is this volume switch, which is very important because it's a circuit band synthesizer, obviously, so sometimes volume will just jump up, and this is a really good big knob to control the volume here. Then the second module is the key matrix breakout. So instead of having the keys, the synthesizer just has the pins of the keys broken out to this module. This is matrix out and matrix in. So to play the synthesizer as usual, quote unquote, you just use these 2mm banana wires to play the banana. Let's reset the synthesizer here. Should be good to go now. There we go. So there was no note between those two. There you can see some of these are number notes. So this used to be the connection between the number key to select the tone. I selected a trumpet. So one thing you can notice immediately is that it's a bit crackly, and that's because there is a lot of CPU clock mods done, and without any voltage starvation, it crackles like that. The even more fun effect is that if I put on a beat like this and then have my hand, so there is a wire running here, and if you touch it, it affects the clock, which is kind of funny if you ask me. So this is a matrix breakout. It also has two AND logic gates, which are suitable for pretty much anything, but mostly they are used to automatically trigger a note. So for example, there is this note here, right, from matrix out to matrix in. So instead I go to one of the AND logic gates, I take its output and go to that input. So nothing happens just yet because we need the second input to also be 1 for this output to be 1. So there is a logic 1 here, just in case you want to test something, but also there is this module 06 quad pulse source, which is basically 4 separate square wave oscillators. So let me try oscillator C here. So you can see how it has a switch for high and low modes, and then a switch for short pulse and symmetric pulse. So like this, it holds the note, then releases. Like this, it just taps the note, okay? So like this, you can set 2 notes, or you can use it to AND 2 of the oscillators, which produce fun, interesting tones. You can also, of course, just take one of the oscillators and drive them into the matrix input, which usually creates something like this. Let's try some. Oh, shut up. So But this is usually not that fun without these controls. So this is the module 03, the CPU manager. It has two big knobs here. This is the voltage starvation, and this is the error injection. And then it has the very important CPU reset button. So instead of pressing panic each time the unit crashes, you can press CPU reset, and it will reset the CPU. This will not make the unit do any pops on the output, unlike the panic button. So the panic button is indeed for a panic situation. So let's see what the CPU manager does here, along with the frequency knob of the GUTS interface. So I know that this connection makes a beat go. So there's a beat, okay. And then, so one thing voltage starve does is that it also reduces these crackles majorly for some reason. So then there is this symbol here, which is kind of like a graveyard symbol, and it marks that past this point, it is very likely that the unit will crash. So it crashed. If I go back, it will not sound anymore. So we press CPU reset in this case, back to normal. So in conjunction with this frequency knob, it provides some interesting results, because the frequency goes from normal to low, so it does not overclock the unit, but it does severely underclock the unit. And if you don't use voltage starve with it, it sounds very crackly. However, if you use the starve, it's almost like pole stretching, which is hilarious considered it's just a Casio. Oh, something funny happened. Okay, let's reset. So yeah, there you have it. And then another very important thing is this error injection section, which has this risk knob. Select from lowest risk to highest risk, which does not necessarily represent how it is actually, but I just found that usually the more you go clockwise, the likelier the unit is to crash. And then this button says act, so this injects errors into the CPU. Let's see what it does. Add a little bit of voltage starve, and then let's start with lower risk. Oh, this is funny. Let's try again. Oh my god. This is why you have the volume here. Looks like it crashed, so we press CPU reset. Back to the beat. Let's try something here. Sometimes it shuts up, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it crashed. Okay, now it did. Oh wait, no it didn't. Cool. It's back to normal actually. Funny. So, there is the error injection. Then there is this 04 GUTS interface. We already discussed the frequency knob, but there is this amplifier breakout, which doesn't do much on its own, but it does a lot in conjunction with this module. And also there is this clock router. So this is basically a clock input for the CPU. Don't confuse it with a modular like rhythm clock. It has to be a high frequency clock to drive the CPU, and this switch enables the internal clock. So if I disable it, the unit just shuts up because there is no clock provided whatsoever. I re-enable it, it usually crashes because it's an abruptly interfaced clock, so we have to reset. Back to normal. So then it has some ports. So this is a 3.5mm jack in case you have a high frequency clock somewhere in your, for example, Eurorack system or whatever, you can try driving it. Then a 2mm banana here for the oscillators, which sometimes work, sometimes they don't. It's very experimental. You can use them with the internal clock turned on or off. They do different stuff then. And finally, there is this binding post for this, basically. Isn't this fun? Sometimes you may run into glitches by tapping it repeatedly. Maybe use it with the error injection. Or you can use it to interface it with your extremely expensive Soma gear or whatever. So then there is this amp breakout. These are connected to some random points on the amplifier circuit. And I'm not sure what happens if you connect them directly. And I never did that because it usually just shuts off the sound. And nothing awful happens. But there's this square wave here. So then the O5 module field of experience comes into play, which has stuff that doesn't do anything on its own, but it's useful with the other stuff. So for example, here are the two potentiometers, so 1 mega ohm here, 100 kilo ohm here, and a grounding jack here. So you can use these to create volume controls of all sorts, or use them as variable resistances, which is what I will do here. So we saw that there is a square wave if you do this. Let's see what happens if I put some resistance across that. Oh, would you look at that? So let's see. Let's bring it into glitch. Good stuff. Extremely abrasive. You can also, of course, use it to, for example, set some resistance from the oscillator. Let's set it to high mode, oscillator 1, and then to short pulse mode, and try to put it to the clock. Let's see what happens. It crashed. Let's try again. Let's try 1 mega ohm then, because you can dial in more resistance with it. Let's see. Well, this was fun. Let's try again. Ah, there we go. Funny. So this is in low mode right now, and it did a little LFO glitch. Sometimes it runs forever, sometimes it dies off pretty quickly. It really depends on your luck, I guess. And finally, there are these two parts on this field of experiment module. So let's go back to our beat and back to this square wave here. So we explored how to make it into a variable distortion kind of a thing with a variable resistor, but then we can use this tactile router and your finger as a resistor. So let's do the same thing again. So maybe there are some other nice points. What if I ground it? Not much. Well, then you can of course use it also with the oscillators. So and you have 4 oscillators, so you of course can then do this. Use another oscillator. Put it here. Of course, you're not tied to having the beat in the background. These oscillators, they run on their own, so they don't depend on the frequency here and the CPU manager here. you can also use this to route some oscillators to the clock and see what happens. Usually what happens is the unit crashes, but sometimes you get lucky. Let's put some note on. What was that? Oh, there we go. Did something. Let's try again. Let's try again. Starve it a bit more, maybe. Okay, maybe I have to make my fingers less moist. Now gently. Ah, also, this works best in low mode. Mother hubber, stop. Sometimes it just doesn't want to cooperate. Okay, whatever. This is more fun anyway. So, the clock router mods are kind of dangerous, as in they crash your unit more often than not. But then also, this tactile router here can be used as a little keyboard of a sorts. So for example, let's put some of the matrix inputs on these. So I don't know, these 4 maybe. That's good enough. Take another here, and we can use this logic 1, 2, or for single notes and not those horrible chords. One of them is a number, so let's put this to another piano key. This is another number. Screw you. Much better. It went away. All right. Oh, this is fun. And then finally there is this passive toolkit here for more integration with your amazingly expensive Soma gear or equally amazingly cheap DIY synthesizers. All right. So these basically just interface this bolt to this banana jack here, and on their own they don't do anything, but they're mostly meant to put electronic parts such as this diode across them, breadboard style, like actual breadboard style, like it used to be back in days. I wasn't born back in days, but you get the idea. So for example, we have a diode now between this and this. So let's see what happens if I do this again, but with a diode. Not much happens. Let's try a resistor, maybe. Maybe swap them places. Okay, it changed in character a little bit. So in conjunction with this little grounding, jack, you can actually program even simple filters like high pass and low pass here. Maybe put a light dependent resistor here and have control over your setup with light and other experimentation. So this also integrates nicely with this pole here. So if you want to directly interface something with a part to the clock, you can do this. But again, clock mods are usually leading to crashes, so this is very much an experimentation thing. So hang around and find out. Okay, here we go. So this is pretty much it for this unit. And now I'll just play around with it for a couple more minutes without much explanation of what I'm doing, just to showcase more sounds probably. Here we go. So I have no clue what I'm doing, but let's see. Kind of like this one. So we can set up a little logic patch here. Stop. So let's check this one first. Oh, of course, I should go from matrix out to matrix in. I'm stupid. So let's see. Okay, works for me. So now it should be pressing 2 keys, and I will put one oscillator to press 1 key. And then another oscillator to play the other key. Oops. Well, there you go. So much fun with this horrible, scary entity. Which is, by the way, on sale because I'm in a desperate need of money. So, if you want to buy it, head to the Reverb shop. Link is in the description. I've been Liss. Thank you for watching my video on my horrible circuit bent creature. See you next time.